Well, I love plucky little democracies surrounded by big bullies. It's one of the reasons why I like Israel, and it's also one of the reasons why I like little Taiwan, a free market, pro-Western democracy right next to the world's largest dictatorship of China. Of course, there's the ethnic ties, so they're closer than enemies, but not quite friends. And joining me now to talk about the latest in Chinese democracy is our friend Dr. Charles Burton from Brock University, a man who used to be a diplomat from Canada to China and who follows China and Taiwan closely. Great to see you again, Dr. Burton. What's going on in Taiwanese politics these days?
Well, you know, Taiwan is a wonderful democracy, and they're having an election next January. The two main parties are the Nationalists, which is the party of Chiang Kai-shek, the Kuomintang as they're known, who no longer have a policy of realistically retaking the mainland for the nationalist regime. And they're part of what's called the Pan-Blue Coalition. And then there's the Democratic People's Party, which are part of the Green Coalition, who's are a bit more oriented towards establishing an independent Republic of Taiwan. Certainly the Kuomintang don't want to see Taiwan return to mainland China, and there are no candidates for the Chinese Communist Party that have support in Taiwan. But they'd like to maintain the status quo of ambiguity. The DPP is a bit more aggressive and wants to see an independent Taiwan nation with recognition at the United Nations. The interesting thing about this election is that both of the candidates are women. Both of these women are highly educated women. The nationalist candidate, Ms. Hong Xiu-chiu, has an MA from University of Missouri. And the DPP candidate, Tsai Ing-wen, has an MA from Cornell and a PhD from the London School of Economics.
Wow, these are impressive women.
Yes, so the Taiwan political system is producing very impressive, well-educated candidates, and they are women, distinguished women who understand democracy and are doing good things with a slightly different vision for how things should go in Taiwan in the future. It's quite a contrast to the nature of politics in mainland China, and I think it would be fair to say that in China there are no women who are in very senior positions in their political system.
Yeah, I mean, women in mainland China work. I mean, under Mao Zedong, they were sweeping streets. I mean, they had any menial work, but the Politburo, the top, you know, folks who looked like Leonid Brezhnev if they were Chinese, like the ones who look like they're halfway through taxidermy, there are no women in Chinese senior leadership. I don't know all the players in Chinese communist politics like you do, but I can't even, I mean, the best that happens is that there's a strong-willed wife of a leader. Am I right? I mean, there have been no, like, for example, there would be no province of China that's governed by a woman, is there?
No, this hasn't happened to the best of my knowledge. And women who rise to positions of power, such as Chairman Mao's wife, Jiang Qing, tend to be very much reviled in the popular media as being, I don't know, very harsh, sexually voracious, and, you know, all of those slanderous things that one could say about women is the Chinese tradition of dealing with a strong woman. There was the Empress Dowager in the Qing dynasty who similarly got a very bad take in history. And then before that, you have to go back more than 2,000 years to the Empress of the Han dynasty, who similarly in the historiography is seen as a brutal, ruthless figure with a massive sexual appetite. So,
you know, such a strange slander. But I mean, Taiwan, so many Taiwanese. I mean, there is a Taiwanese ethnic nationality to itself, but so many people in Taiwan fled from mainland China. I guess they just diverged 70 years ago politically, and
Taiwan has a modern democratic society and all the benefits that accrue from it, and including, you know, good ethnic policies and a strong rule of law and a fair system of justice, and a system which allows people to realize their potentials, including women. So, you know, I think that's a good reason to feel that small places like Taiwan and Israel are places that we should cherish and support.
Yeah, well, I certainly feel that way about Taiwan. I had the pleasure of visiting there once, and I would hope to go back. Last question for you. In the past, the Kuomintang, or the KMT is sometimes the acronym in English is. Have they cooled off on talk of a merger or returning? I mean, has China's muscle flexing in places like Vietnam, has that dampened any ardor in Taiwan for more formal ties? How eager are they to build bridges to mainland China in 2015?
Well, I think that, as the Taiwan society matures as a democracy, and as people in Taiwan have had more and more opportunities to travel to mainland China, they realize more and more that the possibility of a smooth integration of Taiwan into China is not likely to be possible under current conditions. So on the one hand, as you say, you have a long period of a different history, a different political culture, a different ethnic culture because of a slightly different dialect of Chinese. And on the other hand, I think you have a realization that regardless of the desirability of joining an emerging superpower, that conditions in Taiwan would not be able to maintain the freedoms and justice that you see there if, in fact, China came to dominate their political system. And the recent example of things going on in Hong Kong, I think, has further consolidated the opinion of Taiwan people that gradual transition to integration into the mainland is not the direction to take. And that certainly is not the policy of the KMT today. They're mostly interested in maintaining the ambiguous status quo and encouraging as much economic activity with China as possible, but keeping the Chinese Communist regime at an arm's length at best.
Isn't that interesting? Of course, that umbrella revolution in Hong Kong, hundreds of thousands of people in the street worried about political censorship. That was a very hopeful moment for me and a lesson obviously learned by Taiwanese. Great to talk to you, Professor. Look forward to catching up with you again.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's great to see you. You're watching TheRebel.media.